Good evening and welcome to the 2024 Mixed Canadian National Curling Championships. My name's Brian Chick. I'm here with Doug Getty, and we are halfway through first end action between Newfoundland and Yukon. This is draw number 2 at the St. Catharines Golf and Country Club. And thank you for joining us here on this lovely Sunday night in St. Catharines. How you doing today, Doug?
Good, great. Happy to have this event at our club, and just one more event on our 125th anniversary celebrations.
This event got underway earlier this afternoon with a draw prior to the opening ceremonies, and we had a nice little parade and a little pomp and circumstance, some local dignitaries, and now we're into draw number 2, and we've got the Newfoundland team out of the Remax Center in St. John's, skipped by Trent Skanes, and facing off against the Yukon from the Atlin Curling Club. Out of Whitehorse, it is Robert Smallwood. Robert Smallwood about to throw his first shot of the game. No stranger to this event, played in 6 or 7 of them already. A couple Briars on top of that, so he's definitely familiar to a lot of Canadian curling fans. Throwing a little heat here. Yukon in a bit of trouble early on, facing 3 already, and this one's sailing a bit wide on him. But gets a chunk of that back one, so...
And got a nice double out of it.
Mission accomplished. Newfoundland does have hammer based on the pre-game draw to the button shootout. So they'll look to sneak another green stone in there behind the guard. The green and gold, the official colors of the St. Catharines Club.
Yes, they are. And normally, before we got into sponsorships, all of our houses were green and gold. But as you can see now, we have local sponsors that help pay for the cost of the curling program. But, yeah, we're green and gold, as you can see in the club seal that's on the back wall. The rocks, of course, are green and yellow.
So Trent Skanes with his first of the game.
Ice seems really quick. Where, for the beginning of the season, you just never know, but we really seem to have almost ideal playing conditions.
Yeah, based on what I saw in the earlier game, lots of curl and a really nice speed, and this looks like it's fairly well executed by Trent. Totally buried, even a little over buried maybe.
Interesting here. I thought maybe they'd go for the takeout on the greens, but they're going for the draw.
Yeah, that top green at 2 o'clock there is just poking out the edge, and you could probably see enough of it to make the double. But they're opting for the precise freeze to bail the Yukon out of trouble.
Rob Smallwood second stone and looking for a perfect draw.
We'll try to give you some stopwatch times from time to time. 13.6 seems like it's probably a little heavy for this surface. Definitely been closer more to the 14.5, almost up to 15s in the earlier game.
Yeah, that sailed right through.
So already 2 in hand for Newfoundland and Labrador. And looking to hit even a bite of 8 foot will get you a third. So with the final rock of the first end, looking for a piece of 8-foot for a third point. Trent Skanes just through it. You think this one's got to be close.
You're working it hard.
Just walking it in. No drama here.
Nicely done.
Right to the button. Maybe a foot deep. But we'll give it to him anyway. 3 points on the board for Newfoundland and Labrador. These games scheduled for 8 ends, not like the more competitive events like the Brier and the Scotties. So more typical to your familiar club game. We will be streaming sheets B and C all week with a proper commentary broadcast for the evening draws on sheet B, but everything else will be the locked off static cameras, but it's at least going to get every team a couple of streamed games so the folks at home can join in. Playing lead for Newfoundland and Labrador, it's Sarah McNeil Lambswood. Trying to sweep it right into the top of the 12, and they will get fully in. Smallwood in the Yukon going to ignore that, put up a corner guard. Shannon Hall playing lead for the Yukon Territories. This one looks to be sliding a little bit deep as well. Not what they want for the guard call.
Rob Skanes immediately goes for the hit. Clean, keep the house clean.
When you take 3 in the first, you're happy to play defense when they let you. You don't want to let those rocks pile up and give them their 3 right back. So no mistake there from McNeil Lambswood. Bonks it right on the nose. Perhaps a counterintuitive call, but I like it. The throw the guard on the green in the house. You'll have a rock up front to play with and some backing to work with as well. This is the first game for both of these teams. Neither had a game in the early draw. Only two teams out there going back-to-back. Quebec and Nova Scotia both already played in draw 1 and are back out for round 2. Another one slides in. Not what you want when you're trailing early and trying to get your end set up.
Rob Skanes going for the takeout again.
This time it's Scott Eaton with the delivery. Slight over curl and takes the backing, so there's the break that Smallwood needs. Still going to throw the guard, though. A lot of teams would just go up and hit that one in the top 12, keep the house fairly split wide open, and be content with your 2. But he's throwing the guard and maybe going to try to force the issue a little bit and try to go for 2, more than 2. Scott Odian throwing.
They're working this hard to make the hog line. And they do.
They're over, but it's pretty high guard. Should be lots of room to get around for Newfoundland and Labrador. Eaton's offering again. Putting on pretty good scrub just to try to squeak it by.
Ooh.
There by the guard.
Nicely done.
Get just enough of the backing to remove it. almost missed that the hard way.
got the high stick acclaim from his skip.
Brooms up, always good. But yeah, almost ticked the guard, but almost missed the back one low. So maybe that guard was not really in play from where the thrower was sitting. We're a little bit off to the side here. We don't have the greatest angle looking right down the sheet. So Scott Odian trying to come around the guard he just threw and see if he can sink one. And I'd say that's a little more buried than the last one was. Brooke Goslin throwing for Newfoundland and Labrador. Look for a soft weight takeout around that high guard. They're by the guard and they're trying to make it curl a little bit with some late scrubs. It looks like they got it.
Nicely done.
Nice weight control there. Nice. It was really pretty much only board weight by the time it got to this end, and finished up nicely. Jody Smallwood playing a similar draw around the high guard. I'd like to leave this a little bit higher than T-line, so you can maybe use that green on the T-line as backing. But this one looks a little spicy.
Yeah, it looks a little bit heavy. Missed opportunity there.
These teams did have the opportunity to practice this morning before the games got started, and of course you get your 10 minutes pregame. So draw weight seeming to be a little elusive for the Yukon team so far, but there's a lot of game left and a lot of games left too. This is only their first of what is a week-long event.
Working this one pretty hard. Gonna bite the top of the 12.
A little bounce there. Newfoundland and Labrador, they're just switching gears a little bit, trying to put a little more pressure on Yukon and make them look at something a little tougher than just the 8-foot, but instead they've covered half the sheet, and Smallwood's going to try that draw again. all over the guard, but I still think if she was by, it would probably still a lot of weight too. So they've got to learn to dial that draw weight back a bit. It rolls right in front of the greens in the top of the house, so you'll see Trent Skanes try to draw another one in, just maybe bite the piece of the forefoot with as much buried as he can get, but that'll really twist the screws a little bit on the Yukon squad.
Looks nice, nice weight.
Hanging a little bit wide early, but look at the finish. It's starting to
yeah.
walk right over.
Yep, crossing the center line, ducking in behind the top stone.
And that was about 14 seconds, so it's still a little slower than it was earlier, but just that finish took all the weight off, and that's in a basically perfect spot. Maybe 6 inches deep if you want to get picky.
Newfoundland sitting 4.
Robert Smallwood needs to get a good chunk of the forefoot or even a piece of the button to try to bail his team out of some trouble here.
Negate those 4 points that are sitting there.
At this point, you're okay even almost giving him 1, but you don't want to give him 4.
Slowing down.
Line's pretty good if they can get it there, but I don't think it's got the legs. Just digs in. And that almost makes it more difficult to get at that green in the forefoot because of the stagger guards now.
Newfoundland sitting 4, throwing their last rock.
Trying to make it 5 with no easy way in to the button. So this one of my, I keep saying I should have t-shirts made, but short's okay, you know. If you can leave this one in the way, it really makes that draw extra tough. So anything from top 8 foot, top 12 foot, or even halfway, as long as it's on that draw path, could really make things difficult for Yukon. But again, he just threw it. He's had the benefit both ends of throwing the same shot basically twice in a row. So you expect this one to be close. And look at
here comes the big curl.
Yeah, late finish, and if they just leave it, finish a little bit, that's a pretty good spot for that. You can still maybe take on the double, but it's tough to stick around. And I don't think he's going to. And instead we'll try to draw a piece of the button. You can still score here. Last shot in the second end, facing 5 Newfoundland Labrador stones. Rob Smallwood looking for a piece of the button or maybe at least a bite of 4 just to cut him down.
It's a little bit warm. Slow down.
This one's sliding and it will not be stopping, but how far does it go? All the way through, and that is a steal of 5 for Newfoundland and Labrador.
Wow.
Not the way that the Yukon wanted this one to start. But at these championships, 6 ends minimum to be played. So they will try to use the next few ends as a bit of practice. Maybe try to find that draw weight and try to take what they can from it.
Ooh. A lot of stones flying on sheet C beside us here. It was a house full before this. They just fired a rocket down. Knocked out 4 stones.
So on our neighboring sheets, we've got BC, Nova Scotia on A. Last rock coming here for BC. And they're looking for a piece of the 4-foot to score to tie the game. Line was okay, but it was a little bit heavy, and it'll be a steal for Nova Scotia. They're up 2-0 after 2. In the Alberta PEI game, last rock coming here on C. Alberta already sitting 2 and drawing to the 4-foot for 3. Looks pretty good. That'll be 3 on the board for Alberta. That's a 3-1 game now for the Albertans over PEI, and Quebec up 2-1 after 2 on Nunavut. For all the scores and schedules and draws and anything of that nature, you can visit curling.ca/scoreboard, and that will bring you to all the information related to this event and all the other Curling Canada events on the schedule.
So in our game, Newfoundland opened with a shot right to the top of the 4-foot. Yukon put up the corner guard.
Newfoundland's going to ask for the freeze on the 4-foot rock just to try to bring that play into the house. And again, the last thing you want to do when you're way up is to give your opponents too many shots to play with, especially guards. So Doug, why don't you talk about a little bit how this event came to be? You mentioned before that this club has been hosting Junior Nationals, Scotties Tournament of Hearts, which you said you were the chair of those committees, and talk about this one in your 125th anniversary.
Well, you know, this club is celebrating its 125th anniversary. This curling arena that we're looking at right now is 60 years old, and we did we hosted a national junior, the Karcher Juniors, in 2001. And then Curling Canada asked us if we would host the 2007 M&M National Junior Championship, which we did. And both those events were held in this arena and with a civic arena across the road. Really successful, a lot of fun. Members loved it. And then we were fortunate to have a new arena built just a few blocks from where we're sitting right now. Went up in 2015. And now that we had the seating capacity, we went after a major event, and in 2017 we were fortunate enough to host the Scotties, which was just an awful lot of fun and a big thrill for our community, and
one of the greatest finals I recall seeing at the Scotties in a long time. That was Michelle Englot versus Rachel Homan.
Yep, it was a classic, and we really enjoyed it. And the club was the home of the Heartstop Lounge, so I mean there was a lot going on, and it was a lot of fun. So in the anniversary year, we approached Curling Canada and asked if there was an event we could host, and Danny Lamoureux said, you know, the mixed hasn't got a home, so if you would like to do the mixed, I think we could make that happen. So here we are. We said we put in a formal bid, of course, as is required, and it was accepted, and contract was signed, and that was 2 years ago, and here we are now with the event on our arena ice in our 125th year.
Seems like you got a great crew of volunteers and very active club membership to help pull it off.
Yeah, we do. You know, like every curling club, our biggest problem was the pandemic, and the COVID years were really tough on curling. We lost a lot of members who were nervous about being in a curling arena. And in the years since the pandemic, we've done everything we could to bring people back. And to be honest, we've got a whole lot of new curlers coming into the game, which is
I always love to hear that.
which is what you want in a club program. Our Learn to Curl program is extremely active, and it's been very successful at encouraging people who had never maybe thought about the game to have a look at it.
Well, there are a lot of rocks in play.
A lot of green rocks in play in the house.
Yukon tried to come into the pile from the looks of it, but just came up a bit short. So now Newfoundland Labrador's Scott Eaton trying to throw another one into the pile.
Perfect center guard.
It's over curling just a hair, so there is a path into that 4 foot, I think, or by playing off a little bit more weight off one of the outsides. But the way this ice and these rocks curl, you can definitely get in there. It looks like they're going to play a little hit and roll off of the higher of the two greens. Here's Scott Odian. Hoping it curls a little bit. Didn't quite come up quite what they were looking for, but it ended up in an okay spot.
So Trent Skanes calling for the center guard on top of that.
Yeah,
Yellowstone.
A good guard here now will require several shots to move that green on the top of the 4 foot. Maybe calling an audible here. It's got a little more weight than they want. That
open things up a little bit.
Yeah, not ideal for Newfoundland and Labrador. This will give the Yukon Territories little hope to get another one in there. Maybe take 2 or 3 this end to keep this game alive.
Calling for T-line weight. Jody Smallwood lining it up.
One thing I've noticed a lot just in the couple of games I've watched is you hear a lot of the high-end competitive teams talking about trying to get their releases the same and really try to throw the rock the same way.
Yep.
I don't know that many of these mixed teams practice together enough to ever get that release on the same page. And in this game, I'd say we've got about 8 different throwers and 8 different releases. Just the amount of rotation and how it comes out of their hand is very different. So it makes it way more challenging on where to put the broom and where to expect the curl when you got such variety in how the rock is coming at you. Brooke Gosling here throws a lot of rotation compared to Jody Smallwood, so those rocks are going to act totally differently. Well, little momentum shift here for the Yukon. They're finally sitting a couple, and now it's Newfoundland who's doing the chasing.
Bob Smallwood taking a long look at this, sitting with 2 in the house. Jody's on the other end saying, well, what do you want?
Just taking a second to think about it. I think he's worried about the short, almost spring-loaded double run back, the yellow, green, yellow. But at this point, you can't worry about that. You just try to get another one in there and hope that a couple of them stick around by the end of your turn. So I'd throw a kind of back 4 weight at that rock on the center line, see if you can split it off and kind of hide both of the yellows. Which I think is basically what they're trying to do. Just like that. Got a little
Very
roll
nice.
in behind.
Yeah. For the first time in this game, Yukon looks like they're in a good position to get some points.
Yeah. Signs of life, that's for sure. And obviously those last 2 draws were on the money, where they weren't there for the first 2 ends, and that's the difference. So finding some draw weight and putting the pressure on Newfoundland and Labrador. But I think this is what Smallwood was worried about. They're going to take on this big weight double run as Trent Skanes empties his pockets before he throws.
Yep.
A little bit of weight coming. Contact was made with the right rock, but didn't quite get the angle he was hoping for. So 2 yellows still survived.
And Yukon does have the hammer in this end.
Yeah, I think Skanes just hit it a little thinner than he meant to, which wasn't quite the required angle for the bang, bang, bang. So a good one here sets yourself up for 2, 3, potentially even a 4, but Yukon has to get this one in a good spot.
It's be a pretty wild game if they pop a 4-point after losing a 3-pointer and a 5-pointer. They come right back in.
It is football Sunday, so, you know, we can get a couple of field goals and looking for a freeze right on the yellow. Half tucked would be perfect. They're scrubbing to get it there. This looks pretty good. Get it there.
Come on.
Just short.
Yeah, I think a bit of a missed call on the sweeping there.
Yeah, they weren't sweeping for weight, and I think got a little bit fooled. The weight came off, and so did the line. I think they had a look at the double, but oh, maybe they're going to have another look at the double.
Team meeting.
Yeah, I think Skanes was not sure how much of for the way we were looking at it, the yellow on the right, how much was poking out, and he can actually see more than enough to hit.
Yeah.
And he's got some more options. If he does overcurl, he can clip one of those other ones and still get the redirect.
One of those classic cases where you take a look at it in the house and then you come down to the other end and have another look and it looks, it's not the same as what I thought it was.
Yeah, sometimes the hole looks a lot bigger from the other end and you see a lot more than you thought you did, but
Exactly, yeah.
I'd be surprised if he doesn't take this on with the in-turn double. If you feel like you know what it's going to do and you can hit less than half a rock, you should be able to make them all go and really just take that big end away from the Yukon. I guess there is a risk, though, if you do over curl and get a little bit unlucky, you can get rid of all the greens. Not going for the double, just trying to
Control weight.
But this is going to split the uprights, keeping with our football metaphor.
Whoa.
So, big break there for Yukon, and they will have a chance to put 3 on the board if they can find the full 8 foot.
It's a pretty wild game.
Yeah. Rocks in play always makes it more fun, but even so, being down 5 after 3, not necessarily where you want to be, but better than it was at the beginning of that end. So Rob Smallwood looking for a piece of the 8 foot, or maybe full 8 foot probably does it. On it early. Line looks pretty good though, so just gotta go right into the pile, and that'll do.
That's a lovely shot. Good judgment there by the sweepers, and I bring it right onto the top of the 4. Makes for a nice tidy 3 points. Makes them feel a little bit better about this game, I would think.
Oh, for sure. You've made a few shots, found your draw weight. Still in a bit of trouble, but you are feeling better at this point for sure.
Brian, just a quick note of appreciation for the telecast crew we've got for the week. All this broadcast is being done with the assistance of the Niagara College broadcast program students and some of their graduates and staff, and boy, we're really well equipped.
Absolutely. They've done a great job so far. We've had some technical difficulties thrown at us so far. There was power outage just before this game got underway, so we had to scramble a little bit to get our broadcast in order, and like I said before, they have set up live streaming for sheets B and C for the rest of all other draws, so if the game you want to watch is on B or C, you will be able to see that thanks to the folks from Niagara College.
Working this pretty hard to get it over the hog line. Wow. Let's talk about a high guard.
It's over. Not touching center line, which will matter later on. I'm sure we'll see the tick rule come into effect. At this level, they are playing the no tick on the center line rule, but Newfoundland Labrador not opting to take it on. Quick scoreboard check around the rink. Nova Scotia steals another one to go 3-0 up on British Columbia. PEI scores 2 to tie the game with Alberta. That game is also being streamed on our YouTube channel as well, so if you want to see that one, you can flip over there. And Quebec steals a single on Nunavut, so they are up 3-1 after 3. A lot of young, almost fresh out of juniors level players in this event. And then on the other end, you got some veterans who have been around seemingly for quite a long time, still competing with the kids. So the age range here, I think, goes from probably 20 to about 60.
Yeah, it's great. That's one of the charms of the mix. It's a mixed field.
Yeah, you definitely have some names that you would have recognized from Scotties and Briars past. Amber Holland is here for Saskatchewan.
Yep.
Charlie Sullivan for New Brunswick. People who have been to the Scotties multiple times or the Briar multiple times. Even who am I thinking of? Sorry, just blacked out there for a second. I'll think of it in a minute. Sorry, I was going to go with the Cooeys.
Yeah.
Jamie Cooey, obviously 17 Briar appearances,
Yeah.
and Carrie Galusha,
Carrie Galusha's
21
here.
Scotties appearances.
Yeah.
And it's their birthday, so we got to wish them a happy birthday today.
Absolutely. Sarah Colton's here.
Yeah,
I think Sarah Colton was in this same arena playing as a junior. But that was a few years ago. So you're right. I mean, there's quite a spread in the ages of the players. Beautiful takeout shot right on the nose.
almost got them both.
Hammer's gone back to Newfoundland, of course.
Even with those yellows just off the center line, they're treating them as though they're corner guards because there is so much curl. You can, for a center guard to be effective, it's got to be right close to the house. So they're not too worried about the guards being in the way. They're going to try to take advantage of them. You getting a little bit of a roll here. Scott Eaton looking to get a little flop off this one, but he also noses it.
Ooh.
This one's hanging a little bit wide for Scott Odian. He might get the top one, but a little too thin for the double and not sticking around. So I'll see Newfoundland and Labrador play a draw, try to take advantage of those yellows off the center line.
Scott Easton throwing the second stones.
Line's okay on this one. I don't know if the weight's there,
Whether
though.
it's got the legs to get to the house. I don't
grinding
think so.
on him and just floating offline a little bit. So
A lot of curl once they get it over the hog line.
yeah, well, that hog line in, and once the weight starts to come off, it really starts to grind and go a little bit sideways. And especially so if you're soft on the rotation, they're just going to swoop right over. They're hard to manage with the brushes if they don't have enough rotation. This one again, line looks pretty good, but I think a little extra weight, but they can take advantage of some backing here.
Walking right across, beautiful.
Brooke Gosslin's turn to try to make the draw. They called line right out of her hand, but like I said before, she throws a lot more rotation, so hers are going to run a little straighter. And then if the weight's close, it'll still walk right over. And there it goes.
Nicely done.
Totally buried. Can't see it in that shot there, but that other guard up at the hog line is even taking away a little bit more of that path. Smallwood looking for the freeze, and this is swooping right over. Little bit of a bounce, but that is pretty good.
That sure is. Nice shot.
Tough to get that one out of there now. Skanes looking for just a little bounce on that. You can't get to the nose to remove it too far, but I think you can try to release a bit of the backing, try to keep the angles, and see if you can just move it a little bit.
And here it comes.
I'd say that's pretty good too, but a yellow is still shot. Just peeking out about half a rock there, but
looking for the draw, trying to sneak in and get another one.
I think he's probably throwing a guard, trying to just take away the tap on the green-yellow in the house. The other option would be get a little bit greedy and try to draw to kind of the side of the button behind that stagger, but that's very precise. But yeah, I think just getting one in the way here and potentially stealing your one to, again, keep that momentum would be a big win at this point. Yeah, they're just indicating for about a halfway guard. I'd say that probably does the trick, but over curled a little bit. I think Newfoundland and Labrador believe they can just sneak by there and make the tap on the green-yellow. They just have to move that yellow an inch, but it is over-buried, as you can see from that look. And there's no angles on the other side to get there either, so. Looking for, probably just maximum back button, back four weight to try to just squeeze by that top guard and make contact with your green. Well by the guard, so maybe just be playing the straight draw.
They're calling for a lot of ice when they put the broom down. Maybe a little bit too much, but
right to the side of the button.
Beautiful weight.
He's wide open, and a good shot here from Yukon could leave them sitting two, and really tough to get at. So this could be this game might not have been as over as we thought it was after two ends, because this could be a steal of two, and then they're right back in it. Rob Smallwood trying to just frame it up in his mind. Sometimes you look at it and you just got a little debate about how much weight to throw, how much it's going to curl, where do we put the broom. So just took an extra second to make sure he had that sorted the way he wants it. And meanwhile, another big weight bomb from Alberta. Looked like they put another 3 on the board.
Lots of action on our neighboring sheet C here. Alberta, Prince Edward Island.
Across the board, it seems that there's plenty of rocks in play, which is what we like. Granted, the 5 rock free guard zone and the no tick rule kind of guarantees that these days.
Rob talking over the shot with his second, Scott Odeon. Bit of a debate going on.
Yeah,
never good when you're trying to frame up the shot in your own mind.
Yeah. A lot of teams will have rules about when you can make your suggestions, whether or not if somebody's not in the hack yet, but that might have just been a discussion about what kind of weight they were throwing, or
certainly isn't heavy.
Making sure everybody's on the same page. This looks pretty good. Hit half of it and flop under. Oh, too light. Oh, got away with it.
Looks like 1 yellow to me.
There's still 1 more to come.
Trent Skanes looking this over pretty carefully.
If you can get the yellow on the top of the button to go, you score at least 1. You probably don't outcount the side yellow if you nose it. But I think you're okay taking 1 at this point. If you just kind of hit what you could see of that yellow, make it go away, you'll take your point.
There we go. There's the overhead shot that explains the complexity of this end.
I think if Smallwood throws that last one a little bit harder, it would have been perfect to get that hit and roll under, and might have been sitting 2, but in this case, still making him throw a tough one for 1, which is usually a pretty good position to put your opponent in. Last shot of the 4th, coming for Trent Skanes. Looking for a make it go away hit on a yellow. It's curling on him, and this guard is coming up quick. So a steal on the board. 1 for Yukon territory. They have fought back. It is now 8-4, but it was 8-0 a minute ago, so they're trending in the right direction. We're going to take a short break for the 4th end, and we'll be right back with you in a few minutes. And welcome back to the St. Catharines Golf and Country Club for the 2024 Canadian Mixed Curling Championship. My name's Brian Chick. I'm here with Doug Getty, and what started off as a rout is slowly becoming a little bit more interesting as the game goes on. Big score off the top from Newfoundland, but Yukon Territory keeping themselves in it with a score of 3 and a steal.
And Shannon Hall throwing the first rock for the Yukon to start the 5th end. The call for her was a center guard. Looks like she's put up one that's just going to go off the center line, which is great in the no-tick era.
Still pretty high, though. Lots of room to get around it. And as I keep saying, those center guards, to be useful, have to be pretty close to the house and at least covering a chunk of the button, because otherwise it's too easy to get around them. Speaking of going around them, right to the side of the button. Pretty mostly buried, but again, it's a very high guard, so that little piece poking out the back seems like a big chunk, because you could definitely get to it. Yukon Territory absolutely ignoring it, opting for another center guard and trying to put it in that more useful position that I was just talking about. This one's quite a bit wider, and they are going hard for weight. Trying to get her over. Big scrub. Here comes the line, and they're across, but
yep,
good scrub there from the Yukon folks. And Sarah McNeil-Lambswood being asked to go around both of those yellows, this time from the outturn side.
burying a second stone in here behind those 2 yellows would really be a good play and start to amp things up a little bit.
You always want them chasing you if you can help it. It's better to be the chasee than the chaser, and if you can use their own guards against them a little bit, then...
That didn't really give her the curl she was anticipating.
No, it was a little bit wider, but...
stayed out there.
Yeah, it hung a little bit, and the weight was bang on right on the tee line, but just didn't quite get the finish she was looking for.
Which opens the door a bit for Smallwood. What's he going to do?
I think if I were him, I'd be trying to play just soft weight, draws and taps around those 2 yellows, try to put one somewhere on the button, near the button.
It kind of looks like he's deliberating a hit on that stone right through the 2 guards with the up weight.
Yeah. Well, I don't hate it, but I'm just going by the scoreboard here. If I'm down by 4 at this stage in the game, I'm starting to take on a little bit more risk and really trying to force the issue. So I'm going to leave those there and try to use them as opposed to get rid of them.
Well, we'll know in 2 seconds.
Well, he's definitely throwing the hit.
Yeah. Is it going to come through?
It's through the hole.
Just came through. Beautiful. Nice shot.
Nicely done.
Wow. What do we know?
The shot was definitely there, but I think you're going to get more benefit if you do that with softer weight and leave those greens lined up at the back of the house to use as catchers or backstop.
Yeah.
And I don't think it was going to matter very long anyway, because Newfoundland was going to come up and get rid of these guards, and they're going to go into full defense mode where it's just going to hit anything that looks like a yellow rock. Might be able to get both here.
Open for the double. Bang, bang.
Got one, got 2, and
like
shooter
nicely
scoots
done.
out the side. No doubter. Great shot there from Scott Eaton. Scott Odian trying to put a guard back somewhere near the center line.
Curling really nicely.
Yeah, you see Jody Smallwood switch sides on the sweeping, trying to get to the push side to help that curl along a little bit. One of the many developments in brushing over the last 10 years. Just saw Scott Eaton make a beautiful double peel, so taking on the more simple single rip. No mistake.
Jody Smallwood throwing the first of the 2 vice stones.
Just looking to replace that guard.
Yep. Very nicely done.
That soft handle, though, you can see it really finish, and that's actually covering the edge of the forefoot now.
Trent Skanes calling for the hit here.
On it right away for line, but doesn't look like it's in too much trouble. They're by the guard. On the nose.
Nicely done.
Jody Smallwood looking for the hit here and just flared it a little bit wide. Makes contact, gets rid of one, but actually pushes that green Newfoundland rock totally buried behind that high yellow. And actually are debating 3 different calls. Did they want to play the come around freeze? Did they want to draw to split the house wide open, or do they want to peel the guard? And they've opted for the come around freeze, which is...
I would have gone for the split, I think, but...
I'd be going for the freeze, but everybody has their own personal level of aggressive or greed, as the case may be. My first instinct there was the come around, but I totally understand splitting the house too.
Well, here it comes.
And this is well executed. It's
Perfect.
Exactly what they wanted.
Yeah. Nicely guarded. You can't quite see the guard on this overhead shot, but it's out there, closer to the hog line.
It just maybe overcurled if you're getting picky. Overcurled by a couple of inches to leave that green on the tee line exposed by just a little bit. I think if Rob Smallwood can walk one down and place it almost right on top of that second green, then it'd be tough to remove. But that's a harder, easier said than done from 150 feet away. But he did make a couple of nice ones in the last end, and See where this one ends up. So with his first of the 5th end, can he continue the comeback? Needs to curl quite a ways, but it's starting to walk over. Line's really nice. Just needed 2 more feet of weight.
Yep.
Trent Skanes looking to just outdraw that by maybe an inch or 2 to sit 3, and then there'll really be no good shot to steal for Smallwood.
You know, Brian, it's really, it's just amazing to have an event like this and bring in players from every province and territory. I mean, all of them flying into Toronto and then picking up a rental vehicle to drive around the end of Lake Ontario to St. Catharines.
Yeah, it's interesting. So many of these people have played against each other in either cash bonspiels or junior championships or Scotties or Briars or whatever. So it's always a little class reunion when you get an event like this together, and you see even myself just walking down the hallway and saying, "Oh, I haven't seen you since whatever it was," and always fun to see your old friends and make new ones.
So a lot of friendships being reestablished in the hallway here this morning. It was great.
That's a really nice result for Newfoundland and Labrador there.
Perfect shot.
Really hard, even if Smallwood could get rid of 2 greens. He's probably rolling out, and it'll be a draw for 2. There's really not a great steal opportunity here, and it's just a matter of whether you're feeling desperate enough to take on something risky, which at this point you're getting there. I think he's looking at playing the tap on the yellow he just threw. If he could punch that, kind of squeeze it through the hole. We got a timeout coming. They're going to have a little team conference about it. I think that's the question he's going to ask. Is it worth taking on this risk now?
Yeah, we need an overhead shot here to take a look at the complexity of the house.
And I think if I'm the coach of this team and I come out and say, yep, now's the time to take on the risk, because you're probably going to give up at least 1, maybe 2, potentially 3. That's not going to help you with 3 ends to go, so you've got to do something a little bit daring here. Just trying to see if they can punch that yellow.
Okay, there it is.
Just trying to see if they can get that yellow and try to kind of squirt it between those 2 greens, but I don't think it'll go.
And you know, if they did do that, which would be a pretty tough shot, they could maybe get the double on the greens, but I think the green that's biting the 4-foot and the center line would still outscore it.
Yeah, I agree. And the only way to do it, I think, would be to hit it really hard.
Really hard, yeah.
Just right to try to squeeze it through. But that guard being where it is kind of makes that tough.
And one of the features of this game so far, Brian, is we haven't really seen the high heavy shot.
And we keep seeing them next door from the Alberta game, but not in this one.
Not in this game. No, there's been a lot of very nice finesse shots in our game.
I was looking at it. They put the broom down like they're going to play the hit with a lot of weight, but I think now from the other end, like we were saying before, maybe looks a little different from the hack.
And this is where, your team dynamics come in. I mean, when do you talk to the skip about it? When do you not? When do you encourage him to go with what he thinks? When do you try to talk him into something else?
Yeah, seeing the overhead, I really don't think it's there the way we were talking about it. So instead, you just have to make a really good draw to the back of the forefoot.
Yeah.
Or you're going to maybe make a double and still give him 2. So I think now's the time to take the risk. If you pull it off, you're a genius, and if not, you only got to play one more end anyway.
They're still talking about it.
They're laughing about it too, so everybody's still in pretty good spirits. And I think what people tend to kind of forget about this sort of competition is that you do have to play every day, sometimes 2 games all week, and that by the time you get to Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, you've played 7 or 8 games this week, and it's a lot. So, you never want to quit early because you're down that badly, but sometimes a short game will taking a short game early will pay off a little bit later when you might not have much gas left in the tank.
Yep. And for many of these people, they're fighting a little bit of jet lag coming from God knows where.
Yeah, most of these guys got in yesterday after a day of travel. I mean, we've got the territories, and we've got people from BC and Alberta, Saskatchewan. So, he's just rubbing the guard. If he snuck by, that was about as close as you could have made it, but still not 100% convinced it was there. So now it'll be a draw for 4.
Draw with backing. Shooter's dream.
As long as you don't hit the yellow too hard, it's hard to screw this one up too much. But you got your 3 in your pocket, so just anything better than full 8. Keep it clean.
They haven't touched it so far. It's walking down the ice very nicely all by itself.
They're thinking about putting the brooms down. There it goes. Just walk it in there. No panic there from the Newfoundland and Labrador front end. 4 on the board.
Wow.
And I expect the next end will be a lot of takeouts.
Curling Canada official just coming over to change the scoreboard, put up another 4, change the total to 12.
12 to 4.
12 to 4. Like club curling.
Yep. Except in the club, you're allowed to quit after 5. With official competitions, they do like you to finish at least 6 ends.
Yep.
To say you gave it an honest effort. Sometimes the players dislike that rule, but I think they understand why it exists. More of an issue, especially when the games are televised or you're selling tickets, that
Yep.
you can't let people pack up too early. Couple games across the board getting a little lopsided as well. Quebec up 6-1 over Nunavut. Alberta was up by 4 on PEI, but PEI just took 3 back, so that's a 1-point game. 7-6 for Alberta. And Nova Scotia up 4-1 on British Columbia, and they are playing the 6th. Newfoundland Labrador goes right in the top of the 8-foot with their first shot. No surprise there. They're going to need to work hard on this one.
I don't know that it's salvageable.
No.
That's too bad.
A little bit light on the weight and a little soft on the rotation, on the release maybe. Just having trouble finding that guard weight. Now you see Newfoundland and Labrador actually calling for the throw through, which I don't mind at this stage of the end or the game.
Yeah, a lot of non-curlers kind of wonder why would you do that. Well, the answer is to keep rocks from being used by your opponent. They don't need points.
Yeah, this is the equivalent to taking a knee in a football game, or just sitting on a basketball, where you're just kind of running out the clock. You're not trying to rub it in or add to your score, but you don't want to make things any more complicated than they need to be.
Looks like we've got handshakes on sheet D. Quebec has won the game over Nunavut. But to be fair to Nunavut, they've really had some trouble getting ice time, and they've come from a long way.
Trent Skanes just had a little look around to count the rocks. Am I allowed to go peel that guard yet? Nope. We got to throw one more. 5 rock free guard zone in play.
So he's throwing it through.
Yeah.
Keeping the house as clean as possible. No rocks in play. Nothing the opponents can take advantage of.
If we don't throw rocks, then there's nothing to freeze to, there's nothing to hide behind, there's nothing to use as guards. So that's why you'll see a team with a big lead just try to avoid putting any rock in play if they can help it.
This looks to me like it could use a little help.
It'll make it over. Just tucking a little behind that other guard. That win for Quebec was their second on the day, so they are currently leading the pool at 2-0.
Quebec's had a pretty good history in this event.
Over the last few years, yeah.
Yeah, they've ranked third in among the 14 teams in terms of points that they've generated in past years coming into this year's event.
Yeah. Prior to last year, Quebec had won the previous 3 championships in this event, so
pretty nice.
they're doing something right. Last year's winner were Saskatchewan, but not the team that's here this week. And there we saw a big wait to get rid of those guards.
Quite successfully.
And I think we will see a few more peels before the end of the...
Jeez, this looks like it's struggling to make the hog line as well.
Again, it'll be over, but they're just not... They don't seem too comfortable throwing those guards. They're barely there, or generally a little too heavy, but it's day one. They'll figure it out and dial in that draw weight.
Hit and roll off. Nice peel.
Called and made. Nice shot from Brooke Goslin. Keep calling for that corner guard, and all you can hope for is a miss, but at this point I think you're just trying to get comfortable out there. So we'll be back on tomorrow with the morning draw, which is Manitoba and Northwest Territories on sheet B, and Ontario versus Northern Ontario on C. So those games will be streamed all week on either YouTube or Curling Canada Plus. That's just, again, a technical issue that's being sorted at the moment. Keep an eye on our social media channels. Curling Canada will let you know where to find those games.
Oh.
Well, as we were just saying, you're hoping for a miss, and there you got one.
Yeah.
And a particularly lucky one, too, to just chisel that almost straight sideways onto the button, buried. I don't think it's going to change the outcome of the game, but gives the Yukon a little bit of something to play with.
And looking at the schedule for tomorrow a little bit more, Brian, it looks like the feature game tomorrow night, well, on sheet B will be BC and Ontario. That should be a classic.
And that's two young teams
Yeah.
that I'm sure recognize each other from junior nationals and U18s
Yep.
over the last few years. I think most of them are in the university and collegiate levels now.
Yep.
Yeah, a lot of young talent between those two teams, and that should be a fun matchup to watch tomorrow night. And we'll see Trent Skanes take on that short run to bail his partner out after an unlucky miss. Anywhere near the nose does this pretty simply. I would say he's got it.
Bang, bang. That takes care of the yellow.
So Rob Smallwood looking to bury one to the side of the button around all of the rocks in play, but I have a feeling it might be handshakes at the end of this end regardless of who scores. Line's looking pretty good. They're on it for the weight now, trying to get the last few feet out of it.
Very nicely done. Wrapped right around that top guard. Running out of gas. I think that makes them second shot. Newfoundland still sitting with the rock in the forefoot as the counter.
Somewhere between a guard, a draw, and a tap. I think if you just ever nudge your 12 o'clock green there right at the top of the 8 foot, if you nudge that forward an inch and leave your shooter somewhere in that neighborhood,
Yeah.
there's really not going to be an easy shot for Yukon to score at all. So just try to throw top 8-foot weight and move it seriously just a couple of inches to outcount that second shot, and that will make it real hard.
Skanes throwing his last.
Line looks pretty good. They've just got to bump this a bit. Just like that. Bump it a few inches. Stay where it is. That
puts the heat on Yukon to do anything.
all but locks it up. I don't even know if the draw's there anymore to get around on the left side as we're looking at it from above. Smallwood lining up the skinny triple, which is not impossible, but not the most likely of outcomes.
Yeah, you can see where he's holding the broom. Yeah, that's what he looks like. He's going for the hit.
Trying to graze that second green just by millimeters, but hard enough they have to take it out of play too. So if he makes this one, it's early candidate for shot of the week. Here comes the high, hard one from Rob Smallwood. Looking to get this on the nose. Rub a green on the way by. Pop the other green. No dice. 2 more on the board for Newfoundland and Labrador. And the gloves come off for handshakes, and that will make it a final 4. Newfoundland and Labrador 14-4 over the Yukon. Thanks for joining us here tonight. Join us tomorrow for our primetime game, 6 o'clock Eastern Time, BC and Ontario. If you want more curling action, there's a really good game going on our neighboring sheet. Just pop back over to the Curling Canada channel on YouTube for the Alberta PEI conclusion. Thanks for joining us. Doug, it's been a pleasure. And we'll see you later on this week.
Whole week of great curling coming up. Nice working with you, Brian.